So I'm joined here with Checko. He is the coach of our Humber Call of Duty team. So I'm just going to pass the torch to you. So just, who are you? What is your role as coach? And how did you start getting involved with Call of Duty?
Oh man, I'm Dante. I Not only am I the coach, I'm like the everything for the Call of Duty team. It's crazy how things have gone from last year to this year. But the way I got started, I think I've told this story many times. You could find it on the podcast. Just gonna plug that in. But I was just walking down the hall and I saw a flyer saying trials for the Call of Duty team, and I was like, "This is gonna be free. I'm nasty at COD." So I ended up going there. There were guys way better than me, but I ended up making it. A lot of stuff went down. They got kicked out of school because of bad grades.
Oof.
The president, yeah, the head coach at the time was like, "Here's all the paperwork. I'm done, but you got this, bro." So I was like, it was like a super stressful time. So we ended up losing a lot of games by the time the season started, and I hit up one of the dudes who got kicked out because we were still really close friends, and I said, "Look, I need those guys you were going to bring to the team because we are getting smoked." So then I ended up picking up these really good players. You might know them: GoTunes, Stevie, Cushpoint, and halfway through the season, or well, I guess near the end of the season, I decided that I didn't want to play anymore. Stuff was getting way too stressful. The program I was in, I had like 7 assignments due in like 3 weeks, and I was like, "This, I'm done with this. I'm just gonna take care of everything in the back end, and these guys can play." And they ended up winning, and now I'm basically doing what I did at the end of the season now for the entire season.
All right, so that was last year. So would you be able to tell me about some of the ups and downs that you and the team have had this year?
Oh man, so I've never said this in person, but I feel like this is like part true, where it's like because we won last year, we're taking it really easy this year, and I feel like that might be our downfall coming into playoffs, because it's like we don't practice as a team. Like they're all good. Like everybody on the team is really good. They don't need to practice. Like they don't need to practice as a team, but they need that chemistry somewhere, and they can practice
Absolutely.
on their own as much as they want because they'll always improve. But I feel like they're thinking, "Oh, this is free. We're gonna go into playoffs. We'll get money regardless." I feel like we will like place in top 8, so we'll profit from what we paid to get into the league. But I don't know. I just want that first or second spot. I feel like we should be fighting for that. But you never know. When exams are done, we have like maybe a 2.5 week period. So maybe they do practice from there. I'm not too worried how we will place, because at the end of the day, I just want them to try their best and just show that they're having a good time. I just want them to enjoy their final years if they're graduating.
I agree. Like when I watch you guys play, the mechanical individual skill is absolutely there all the time, and
Yeah.
it feels like whenever I do see a mistake, it just kind of gets chalked up to overconfidence. Uh, but we always end up winning in the end,
Yeah.
so I mean it works out.
It
So
yeah.
so
Sorry. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
last year, you guys won it all, and then we went undefeated this year. Uh, but to my understanding, when there was like these power rankings that came out, we were placed second. So why do you think that we were put in second behind, whoever was number
Behind
one?
the team that was number one is Texas A&M University, and they have a very good roster. One of the boys on that squad went to COD champs last year in Black Ops 4, and he's been playing with a lot of prestigious players this year. And they also won an event called, I believe, actually I don't know the name of the event. I'm not gonna try, because if I'm wrong, then I'll get blasted. But he won an event with a player named Parasite, and Parasite is very prestigious in the Call of Duty community. So so I feel like with him on top of another player who wins so many S&D tournaments online, it's incredible. So Texas A&M is just an insane team, and honestly, like if we don't win this year, it's them. Like there's no doubt about it that they're gonna be a top contender and they deserve the number one spot. But I don't know, if people say, "Oh, Humber doesn't play, so they don't deserve number one." Is like Tamu doesn't play either. They don't play as a team. I don't like. They don't even have their own Discord, from what I know, as
Ooh.
a Call of Duty team. So I don't know. It's do with that what you will, but yeah, they're a good first place team. I'd give it to them.
So speaking of prestigious and speaking of up there, the Toronto Ultra came to Humber at some point. Would you be able to tell us about
Oh yeah.
that whole experience?
So originally, the coach of Rochester Institute of Technology's Call of Duty team, we're like really close friends. Last year, like when we were a bad team, they were our go-to scrims. Like we were bad teams together. So we've held a relationship that entire time. And he's like, "Yo, like we're gonna come up to Toronto one day to play our league match this year. So we'll set it up when like we'll see when our league match is scheduled, and we'll come up." And I'm like, "Yeah, sounds good. That'll be fun." So a month passes, and then we start planning it. And I talked to Jackie, and she's like, "Yo, let's get so many more teams into this, and then I'll hit up Toronto Ultra, and we'll have a great time." And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "Oh, that'll probably never work. I don't think Toronto Ultra is gonna visit." So I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. It's fun." So I hit up a bunch of schools that don't get back to me except for York and U of T, and I think York, U of T, one more. I feel bad because I can't remember. But yeah, York was there. No, York, RT, and U of T. But U of T barely had any players come, but it was York who came as well. And then Toronto Ultra responded to Jackie, and I was like, "Oh God, they're actually coming. This isn't gonna be good. Oh no!" Like I was like freaking out. I was like really underselling stuff, which I shouldn't have. But yeah, so they ended up coming. It was all thanks to Jackie, really. Like me and Ben just wanted to play some Call of Duty, and maybe do a podcast, which I think we did. The second podcast, just watch that as well. But yeah, so it was great. They ended up coming. They brought 3 pro players, which was awesome. I didn't expect that. I thought maybe the general manager would come. We'd show her the facilities, and uh and she'd hopefully impress them a little bit so we can do some more things in the future. And we decided to stream it, which was a great idea. Thank God we did. And I don't know, it was just a great experience. Hopefully we can do it again. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make too many connections and talk because I was really busy with running the whole thing, which was extremely stressful. I rented out for too little of a time, because so yeah, it was just really stressful. But it was a great time, honestly.
So it's crazy to think because that was just over a month ago. And then just
And
2 weeks afterwards, we get the ongoing global situation. So
we were so lucky. I remember Ben. Sorry, I cut you off. I remember Ben on Twitter was like, "Yeah, here's the montage video," and I was like, "Yo, if this happened a week later, it would not have happened."
Mhm.
It was actually crazy, like the timing of it. So we were really lucky.
It was good that you kept going there. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I do want to talk about the ongoing global situation. Yeah, you kind of touched upon this a little bit, but just generally, how has the team adjusted? Like, how's this impacted everyone?
It really hasn't impacted anybody, at least from what I know. Like it sucks because like they like going outside and chilling with friends, having a couple drinks, which everybody should. It's good to connect.
But it is
But
esports, right?
yeah, it is, yeah. So being online, it doesn't really change anything. Like the league got pushed back a week, so we weren't even worried about that. Uh, Games go as they do. If anything, I feel like they're playing more. Maybe I know they play in 1Ks. They're basically like online tournaments that pro players, amateur players go into and compete. And I know like some of my boys are playing in that. But like personally, I've been playing a lot more different games. Valorant came out; it's a fun game. But Call of Duty is we're chilling.
Mhm.
Quarantine doesn't really affect much, except that I look like a caveman. But that's basically it.
So I was actually going to ask you next about playoffs, but you did talk a fair bit about playoffs when I mentioned the top 2 rankings. But are there any other comments that you can give or like insight about how the team's prepping for playoffs, or like I was going to ask like what do you think your chances are, but you sound really
To
confident.
win. Man, people are sleeping on us. It's always like, oh, Humber's not gonna win because they don't play. That's literally the only thing they can say to us. But it's like, we didn't play last year either, and look where it got us. We won. So I know there's like, I would honestly say the competition last year was more than this year, except for maybe top 3 teams. But
Mhm.
like overall, last year I think was a harder bracket for playoffs, especially for Humber. But I mean, I'll just let people talk. At this point, like if we lose and they're right, then yeah, they're right. I
Mhm.
won't say anything. But if we win and they're wrong, then hey, man, I'm not shutting up.
So before I start wrapping things up, I want to talk a little bit about Tunes, because
Okay.
I know he's the captain. You know, he's the one that's been streaming all of our games, but he's going to be graduating this year. So I wanted
Yeah.
to ask a bit about, how Tunes' departure is going to impact both you and the team.
It's gonna be sad times, man. That guy was talking to the team. He was making sure they were getting on for games, and I don't think there will be anybody like that next year. So it's gonna be like I talk to the boys a lot and I make sure they do their stuff. But I feel like I'm gonna have to do a little more work next year because of that. Like streaming games, I think I'll be fine. Like there are players who are coming from high school who are like really passionate. So if they're good and they have that passion and they really want to be part of it, then hopefully like they can do that next year. But as somebody replacing him as a captain, I don't see anything just yet. I'm literally like that's one thing where it's like I'm just going with the flow and hope for the best. If it ends up turning into me having to take that role, I'm fine with it. Like maybe not the captain role. I'll give somebody the captain role, but I'll like schedule games and all that stuff. But yeah, it's gonna be really, really shitty if I could say that. It would be really, really shitty. Yeah.
Definitely some really big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss him, man. And he's going to Sheridan. Can you believe that?
Unbelievable.
God.
Unbelievable. But yeah, so I'm just going to wrap this up now. So before I click on stop recording, are there any extra like shout outs or thank yous that you want to give to anyone that could be watching this?
Thanks to everybody part of Humber Esports. I hope to do some podcasts with some coaches because that'd be fun. But thanks to just the team, it was I had a blast this year, especially watching them win, and there's little banter between all of them because they have their rivalries outside of Humber. So it's really fun. I've definitely enjoyed this year way more than I did last year.
Right, true. Well, thank you very much,
Hey,
and
thanks.
we'll see you and the team when it's playoff season.
Awesome. Can't wait.